The second performance tonight is produced by Mr. Greg Whitman, one of America's finest actors, a friend to all, and everybody else is his friend. But this is really a very good performance and an interesting play. So without further ado, Greg, would you take over?
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Just a couple very quick minutes about what we're doing here. It's a show, it's a series that lasted for 1 year in 1948. Supposed to run 3 years, but didn't happen, called Great Scenes from Great Plays. It's the second time it's been done at FOTR. Arthur Anderson produced one 3 or 4 years ago called The Old Lady Shows Her Medals. And it was produced in New York. It was very much meant to be a sort of New York stage counterpart to the Hollywood Screen Directors Playhouse shows. So they'd have one stage or really well-known actor, and then they would fill it out with local radio folks. And it was produced by a group called the Episcopal Actors Guild, which is an over 100-year-old charitable organization, as the present director always says, for people of all faiths and no faith. But it's a charitable organization for all performers, and it is a wonderful no bureaucracy charity. That was not a F-R-E-U-D slip. It is a wonderful no bureaucracy charity. It exists. It's a rubber meets the road charity. It takes in money. We have functions to make money, and benefactors give money. And when a person comes in who can't pay his doctor bill, she can't pay her rent, someone who, an actor died years ago who was in his 90s, had no surviving friends, and the Guild buried him. So and it's done usually. We have a director making a repeat here too, Jay Stern, who directs the Quicksilver Radio Theater shows, also is a film and stage director, and is not unfamiliar with Lincoln. We've done our Lincoln's Last Day a few times, including once again this summer in honor of the bicentennial. And he co-wrote a Civil War musical. So that is basically it, and we are going to present to you, oh, one last thing, our Will Hutchins in our cast. Had a professor when he was in college who was the producer of the original film, Young Mr. Lincoln. So without further ado, from 1948, Great Scenes from Great Plays, Young Mr. Lincoln.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. Gave me an F.
Great Scenes from Great Plays, with your host, Walter Hamden, and starring tonight, Mr. Henry Fonda in Young Mr. Lincoln. On behalf of the families of the Protestant Episcopal Church in your own community and the Episcopal Actors Guild, we welcome you to another half hour of Great Scenes from Great Plays, transcribed by famous artists of stage, screen, and radio. And now, your host, the distinguished actor-manager, Mr. Walter Hamden.
Thank you and good evening. Our play tonight is memorable for its portrayal of one of our greatest men in his youth. It's called Young Mr. Lincoln. Now, in our story, Abraham Lincoln is already well known out in Illinois, but he has not yet cast his long shadow across our land. He's just young Lincoln. And we deal with just one episode in his life, an episode which is an inspiring illustration of his greatness. Here to portray this man for us is the distinguished star of the current Broadway hit, Mr. Roberts. I'm pleased to have you meet Mr. Henry Fonda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hamden. You know, we always sort of think of Lincoln as a sorrowful man of history. We forget about Abe, the young fella full of sass and country humor from homely roots. Downright plain, for one thing, with a kind of twinkling honesty and laced with a thread of melancholy already, and that sense of justice burning inside him. That's what this story shows. That's the Springfield Lincoln that came to be the world's Lincoln.
So tonight, we close with the 2008 winning script, The script was entitled Burnt, and it's the prize-winning script written by Brett Jones, directed by Jay Stern, and produced by Craig Whitman. And it's a kind of a lovely play, well done. We look forward to listening, and I haven't heard it myself. Craig, if you will.
No, that's pretty much it.
That's it? Okay.
That pretty much says it.
Once again, God damn you, Henry Fonda. I never cared for you. Oh, God damn, you don't want old men around? Goodness gracious. That's right, sweetheart. We don't want... So therefore, with the opening of the show, if you would please proceed. Where is Jay? Jay, if you will.
From the far reaches of the imagination, where space and time weave the uncertain threads of the future, come tales of wonder and the unknown. Welcome to Dreamscape. Sheldon Gasoline, the gasoline with a special edge to get you where you need to go, brings you Dreamscape, the show that explores the dark shadows of a future that could be. Tonight's Dreamscape episode, Burnt. So open your senses to what could be. At the end of the path of reason, there is another that leads into Dreamscape.
I got the call from Lieutenant Greenwich at 2 in the morning. It didn't matter, I was awake. I don't sleep much these days. No one does. Not in New Chicago, anyway. Greenwich wanted to contact me to find the killer of one Dr. Victor Lorenzo. Lorenzo was some kind of research scientist who operated with huge funds from the Federation of States. What he was working on, Greenwich didn't know. I had another no-sleep tablet and took my hover cruiser to the scene of the crime. Lorenzo had been working out of the Cabletech building, and that was built in 2178. A big building. Lorenzo's unit was on the 89th floor of the facility. I took a turbo lift and started my investigation.
Deacon?
Commander?
Lorenzo's over there at his desk.
Anything touched?
Nothing. I got the contract here for you to sign, scan, everything.
Standard?
Same as all the others.
Then I don't need to stand it.
Oh, before you start, I need your authorization.
Retinal or thumbprint? Don't go to Canada. Stay around and be miserable.
Oh, what case are we on?
We? The usual.
Should I book your room at the infirmary now, or do you think it could wait?
Laura, you are the most...
What?
Oh, forget it. I need peace and quiet.
Oh, that reminds me, Mojo Buzz.
Oh, boy. Well, then I can forget the peace and quiet.